said, now people get ready for the train to Jordan. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Faith is the key that'll carry you over. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord and then you ride. I said, now people get ready for the train to Jordan. Don't need no ticket, you just get on board. I said, now faith is the key that'll take you over. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board and then you ride.
Hey, Robin.
Hey, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. I like to hear my mother sing so much. I almost just let the whole song just keep
I
playing.
know, it makes me smile every time I hear it. Every time.
That is one talented woman. I don't understand how I could possibly be born so tone deaf and have a mother that sing like that. I will never figure that out. I don't know if that was a cruel joke
If
or
I
what.
could hold one note, just one,
One
I'd be
note.
good. Just one.
Wouldn't it be? I don't, and I know I'm kind of selfish because I don't want to start our podcast with any other song but her voice. I don't know. I think it just puts us in a good, just puts it in a good place, a good
It
space.
definitely puts a smile on my face. It
Me
definitely puts a
as
smile.
well. So if my mother's on here, hats off to you. You are one talented woman,
Most
and
definitely.
I am proud that you are my mother. But I sure wish I could sing, and I'm a little jealous. But I've been jealous for a long time. I'll get over it. So thanks everyone for joining us. Robin, the Wednesdays are going really good with the book. We're on part 6. We only
Wow.
have one more part to go. So I want to invite everybody to come Wednesday at 7 p.m. for part 6 of Fire Unfinished. And Naomi is something to reckon with, to say the least.
Right.
So today we have a guest. Her name is Aranda Ambers. And I want to play a video because I want to let you know a little bit about her. I know this young lady personally. She is a brilliant person, and to me, it's an honor to just have her here. So I'm going to tell her that when she comes on. But right now, we're going to learn a little bit about Aranda.
Voices, we shine a light on a young woman whose dedication, discipline, and drive embodies what it means to strive for excellence. Meet Aranda Ambers, a 17-year-old powerhouse who is already leaving her mark. A student at Terrell High School, Aranda has been inducted into the prestigious National Honor Society, a testament to her academic excellence, leadership, and service. Ranked 16th in her class, Aranda has consistently earned a spot on the honor roll, not just in high school, but every single year since elementary school. That's not just talent, that's work ethic. When she's not excelling in the classroom, you'll find her on the drumline, where her rhythm keeps the beat for her school's band. Precision, focus, teamwork. That's what she brings, on the field and in life. Aranda also holds down a part-time job after school. While many teenagers are still figuring things out, she's already building financial habits that set her apart. Saving regularly in her own bank account, budgeting wisely, and planning ahead. She is the kind of young woman who doesn't wait for opportunity. She creates it. With grace, grit, and an unshakable sense of purpose, Aranda Ambers is a shining example of what's possible when discipline meets determination. We're honored to welcome Aranda to Hidden Voices.
Wow. Way to go, Aranda.
Hi.
Totally remarkable. You are very extremely determined and dedicated young woman, and that's just, oh, I can't say enough about your accolades. Wow.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you, Miss Tammy, for that video.
You're welcome. I have known Rhonda since she was about 7, I would say, close to that, young lady, and I've watched her grow. And to say that I'm honored that you are the first guest on our show, and we started it the way we are so heads off to you.
Thank
We
you.
we started this podcast because we wanted to highlight the hidden voices, the people that we don't often see and hear in the community, and the ordinary people that's doing extraordinary things. And to have a young person to be the first person that we want to spotlight is just, it's an incredible honor to me. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I really feel really warm today. You're making my heart sing.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you too for recognizing me.
You're welcome.
It kind of seems like we did come full circle, because when we started, we were really focused on educating our children in the home, and that is one of our ultimate goals that we try to always highlight. And you're definitely the best guest that we could have as our first guest to acknowledge what our ultimate goal was, to acknowledge excellence in education.
Thank you
And
so much.
it
You're
helps
welcome.
us. It helps us keep true to our purpose, which is authenticity. And this is what we really started this podcast to do. So I know you're magnificent. I do. But we're going to share it with others. We're going to ask you some questions. You can talk as much and say as little or as much as you like about anything that we asked you. Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then we will invite our guests also to ask any questions, and we will ask you their questions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you go to Terrell High School.
Yes, ma'am.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 11th grade.
Oh man, she's not even done yet. That's something. So, you got a question you want to ask? Uh,
Yes. We're gonna say, okay. The first questions I like to ask you is, what motivates you to maintain such a high academic performance?
Yes, ma'am. I would say what motivates me to maintain such a high academic performance in school is mainly my future. Everything I do in school with my grades and my work ethic and how fast I turn in all my grades and my GPA and all of that is related to my future. And that's really my motivation for my grades.
oh, that's awesome. So, what is it that you want to be? What is it that you're trying to get to?
Well, when I graduate high school, I would like to become a teacher.
Oh, wow, wow. Why?
I would like to become a teacher because I want to be the difference that kids need now, because there's many teachers who don't really do much, and I've had the ability to see that and visualize that in the classrooms with many different teachers that I've had, and I've also had great teachers, and I want to be just like them but also make my own difference in the classroom.
So
Is
you're
there a
on your
particular grade that you would like to teach?
I think I would like to teach high school.
yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I think they need us. I think they need teachers. I think they need people that's passionate about education.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Most
that's
definitely.
awesome.
Most definitely.
So, how do you keep it all organized? How do you manage with all? You have a job.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
they don't know it, but I know you saved money and bought you a car.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know that you have a job, that you're in the band, that
Mhm.
you are high academics classes. How do you manage all of that and not be distracted by other stuff that's out there?
Well, yes, ma'am. So I'm in school, band, and I also have two jobs on the
Oh,
side.
yeah.
I work at Taco Bell and I work at Golden Chick.
Uh-huh.
So on Mondays and Fridays are my off days, which I don't work. And throughout the rest of the week, I'll do school and then work on those days and then band practice or whatever I have to do within those days. But I allow myself to get enough rest because I'm also off on Mondays and Fridays.
Oh, and so those days you try to just do your work and then rest, right?
Yes, ma'am. Do my work and rest. Sleep in
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, sleep a little bit. So how do you feel having two jobs like that?
It really having two jobs, it was very tiring at first, and it still is tiring, and it's gonna continue to be tiring. But having two jobs, it really just makes me look and think I'm doing something good for myself for the future. Like I don't look at it as like, oh, I'm working two jobs, like I'm making so much money at this young age. I look at it as preparing me for the real world because being grown is not easy at all, and I want to make sure I'm prepared for that at a young age.
Wow.
I,
I'm speechless.
I love you.
Oh, I love
I
you.
love you. Um, so I know that you want to be a teacher, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
have you thought about which college you want to go to?
Well, at the moment, I'm looking at HBCUs like PV or Grambling. But if I don't decide to go one of those, I'll probably decide on like a small college like A&M Commerce or maybe Texas State.
You said HCB, HBCUs, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. Okay, audience, y'all gonna see me jump up out of my seat and start dancing in just a little while. You're gonna see a side you haven't ever seen before. Um, I think that's great. Why do you think it's really important to go to even consider going to a black college
Well,
or
firstly,
historically black college? Let me say.
yes, ma'am. Well, firstly, I really think it's good to reconnect with your culture. And also, a lot of HBCUs have great programs. And I looked it up, and HBCUs in particular have great teaching programs. And I also want to just connect more with my culture and learn more about my culture and my people. But also, I'll get a great learning experience at the same time.
You know, historically, before there was uh before they got, when there was segregation, one of the really good things about our schools were that we got an opportunity to learn from people that looked like us, and they were so close to slavery, to Jim Crow, to all of those things. They were only not even a generation away. I mean, their parents, either their grandparents or even them, were a part of those, and because of that, they were very passionate about us learning. You know,
Yes,
and in the historically black colleges, even back in the day, they were so passionate about us learning because there were so many barriers to us learning. So that really makes sense and resonates with me personally. What about you, Robin? You got anything you want to say about that?
I just well, I have a different question. I want to veer off a little bit. With your schedule being so busy, and you're keeping your grades up, what do you actually do for your fun time?
well, for my fun time or when I have days off or when I request days off, I'll go to the movies with my friends sometimes, or sometimes I'll go to my friend's house, or I'll just really be at home for my fun time. I don't really go out a lot. I don't find interest in it. So if I'm not with my friends, I'll just be at home.
That's good.
So you
That's good.
see all kinds of things out there. I mean, you got kids, and let's keep it real. You got kids out there doing drugs, slanging, and I want them to come in too. I feel like they have a superpower that just hasn't been tapped on. But bypassing that and staying focused, how much of a challenge is that, or is that just something in you that you're not interested in, whatever?
It's not really of a challenge for me because I know how to set boundaries between myself, and I know how to say no is no, and I don't really let anybody influence me to do anything, and I surround myself with others who think the same way as me, so I don't really have that problem.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That definitely asked my next question was gonna be, do you get a lot of peer pressure to get you not just necessarily to do things that are not right, but just let's hang out. Not don't study, don't go to work, hang out with us. But setting
Yes, ma'am.
yourself around people that are like minded, that's a big help, I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is. Are a lot of your friends the same people that you went to elementary school with? I know that you lived in a community that you've always lived in it your whole life. So a lot of your friends, are they the same people that you were with as younger
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
were
All of
growing up?
my Yes, ma'am. Most of my friends are people that I grew up with or have been with friends with since elementary school.
Did many of them veer off and go in a different direction than you?
Some of them did, yes, ma'am. Some of them, but most of us we're still together. And the ones who did veer off, I'm still trying to get them back on the right track.
Mhm.
There
Do
you
you
go.
think they have respect for what you say and stuff? They just make different decisions. Do you think?
Yes, ma'am. They definitely have respect for what I say, but at the same time, I'm not their only friend. So it's other people outside of me who are also doing the same things as them. So I feel like it's kind of hard for them to choose with what they know is right when they also have that outside influence.
Okay. So let's pivot. Um, I know your mom, and she's at every single thing y'all do because she's always telling me. And how important is that to you? And how do you think the support of having that kind of supporting your with your family? What have you learned from your parents that you use to help you as well?
Well, if I didn't have the kind of support that I had from my mom today, I honestly wouldn't be in the position that I'm in right now. She's the one who supports me through everything I do with my two jobs, with taking me to band practice, making sure I get the tutoring to get my grades up, making sure I maintain my A on the road. She's the one who's been through here with me with all, and my dad as well, giving me the advice that I need and the courage to continue. And they really helped me out a lot with that.
You know, I know that to be absolutely true because I know her,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I know that to be absolutely true. You have a brother that's outstanding on the football field as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, I know something about him that I hope she doesn't get upset with me saying. I don't think she will. I think that he wants to work with people with learning disabilities and things like that because he's had his challenges and he believes that he can give back to that community. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought so. I thought so. And he feels like he wants to, because he can relate and understand that he actually wants to major and help kids with disabilities.
Yes, ma'am.
That is true. Okay. Okay. And he's a powerhouse on that field.
Oh, yes, ma'am. He is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Um, well, you answered that. Let's see. What advice would you give to young people that's going to school? And let's say, and I don't know how you could do this, but let's say they don't have, because I know people, young people, that
Mhm.
do not have the support system that you have, and they still want to achieve and but their challenges are high and tall barriers. What kind of supportive words or things would you want to say to a kid that was facing those types of
Um,
challenges?
Well, the support words that I would give to a kid that doesn't really have like a support system outside of school is to just stay focused and maintained. And I know it can be hard to not have a support system outside of that, but there are teachers in the school who care about you. There are support counselors, and there are teachers who you can go to for advice. Because I even go to teachers when it's get hard. I even have a teacher whose classroom, she lets me go in there and cry to her sometimes when I get too stressed, and she helps me out. And I think that's really good to have a teacher bond like that. So I would say find a teacher who you can bond with well and can help you get over that stress, or surround yourself with a good group of friends.
Okay, a
Mhm.
good positive group of friends. So you got a lot on you, and tell us about the years. I mean, you have been basically making A's since kindergarten.
Yes, ma'am.
And then some of those years could not have been a breeze.
Oh no, ma'am.
So talk to us about how you did face those challenges. One, you said you went to teachers. Um, give us an idea of what that was like.
Going to the teachers about my problems, it wasn't really hard. I just find those teachers I can really trust in. But if I can't talk to them, I'll like talk to my mom or talk to my friends outside of school. Or most importantly, I'll pray about it and I'll relax about it, try to relax my head about it and things like that to just ease my mind on it.
Did
Do
you
you
ever
have
feel like
a,
go on,
go
Rhonda?
ahead. I was just going to ask, do you have a favorite scripture that helps keep you motivated or going?
No, ma'am, not a scripture in particular, but one of my favorite sayings is your blessing is always going to be bigger than your setback. And I always keep that in the back of my mind.
Good one.
But that's true. Very true.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, so do you do you see a lot of kids? Do a lot of kids drop out of school, like at your school?
I wouldn't say a lot, but it's definitely a couple of people who I know have dropped out. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that for that type of kid, how? I mean, do you think that there's enough options out there or alternatives? Like, I know some kids can get their GED, but I don't know how much people even talk about that.
Hmm.
Technical schools, and that. Oh, that reminds me. On the back end of this, I wanted you to tell me if your school offers any of the things like technical stuff, like um, mechanics or wood shop or welding or
Yes,
any of
ma'am.
that stuff.
Yes, ma'am. We have welding, automotive, robotics. The teaching program that I'm in, we have dance. We have a lot of different programs like that. Rocketry club where they shoot rockets.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And how active are those clubs?
I would say most of the clubs, like the robotics club, is pretty active. The rocketry club probably doesn't really have a lot of members. Probably like 3 to 5 kids, because a lot of kids in our school aren't really active in the programs besides sports and things like that.
And how many black kids do you see in some of these programs? Is a
I'm
lot of
gonna
black kids or some or
No, ma'am. In the robotics program, I think we have like two, and I don't really see many in the weldings programs.
you don't in welding?
I see a couple in the welding program, but not many.
And you said you're in a teaching program.
Yes, ma'am. Teaching and educating pathway.
And are there any other black kids in there with you or Hispanic kids?
I believe it's like 4 of us, 4 or 5 of us. Yes, ma'am. 4 or 5 of us, and then most of the class is actually Hispanic.
Oh, okay.
Rhonda, you mentioned that one of the reasons that you wanted to be a teacher was because you wanted to give back to the students what you felt like was missing. What do you
Yes.
think is missing in the school system, or what they're not teaching to the students that would help them stay interested in being in school? What do you think
Yes,
that
ma'am.
the school needs to offer?
Well, mainly, I think a lot of the teachers don't do, I think a lot of the teachers don't really have a passion for teaching. They just do it just because. And if you don't have a passion for what you're doing and you can't enjoy it, you can't expect the kids to enjoy what you're teaching. So, mainly, if I was a teacher, I would bring passion to the job. Like, I'm starting it early, so I already know I'm passionate about it. But I would bring passion to the students. A lot of teachers just going with an attitude, yelling at students, but that's not the type of mindset that you should have when I'm a student and I'm here 8 hours a day, coming in, getting yelled at by a teacher and just getting work slammed on your desk and slammed that whole time and not having like a connection with your teacher. It sucks. So I would be that type of teacher, and that's what I would really bring that I feel like would really change my classroom.
Mm.
I
You
think
know,
the
I,
experience of having younger teachers will bring that interest and motivation. I think a
and the
lot of times
energy.
when you see teachers that are like that, they're probably, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're probably older, they're burnt out,
Hmm.
and they just, their motivation has depreciated probably, which is unfortunate for the children because they still have to sit there and try to learn something.
Yes, ma'am.
So the enthusiasm and the energy, you think is what's really missing. Maybe not as much as the curriculum as the passion.
Yes, ma'am. But the curriculum as well, like the curriculum in our school is constantly changing. Like in my physics class, we have a new curriculum. It's like a new science curriculum, but it's hard for us to learn because all the curriculum is notes. Like we're only just looking at the board for the whole classroom. I feel like that should change in schools as well, and it should be more interactive and active.
I will say that that is tied to political because a lot of that has changed. Like you said, it's more like notes and little scripts, and you're supposed to get all of this information based on that, and not uh, not books where you can cross reference and look at resources and all of that. Somehow that's gotten um, well, that's happened, and it is even in Congress right now in Texas Senate. Uh, there's a lot of things about the school district. And one day, you can go back and look at one of our other shows where I did a whole show. Me and Robin did a whole show
On
about
the blue
the
unit.
Senate bills that was affecting education in Texas. And I
Yeah,
think you just confirmed that that is happening.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us more about that curriculum, what you were saying about the notes.
So basically, in that physics class, everything is like it's an app called McGraw Hill, and on that app, it's most of our assignments like word labs. But basically, all of the learning is through reading notes, and then we'll go to these word labs, and it'll be questions about the notes and about what we learned in the notes. But that's really the only way we really learn in that class because of that curriculum, and it's on that app, and everything's just on that app.
And it's really unfortunate you talking about the curriculum. Like you, Tammy said, we did a podcast on the new curriculum what they
For
put into the
elementary
school
schools.
system, the blue bonnet, and they're not giving teachers a choice of what they teach or really how they teach. So it's
Hmm.
just you have to go by the way they teach, or the school doesn't get funding. So unfortunately, that's something that is being pushed upon the school systems
Yes,
and
ma'am.
public.
So I think, like, I know you want to be a teacher, but being an advocate for better curriculums and things go along with it. It's not just getting up and go and teach your class, but
Hmm.
there's other things that go with that, which is, you know, the fight for kids to have a very, very solid uh, education
Hmm.
and quality, and quality resources, and being able to have the right quality material is what I was
Hmm.
thinking. And it, what is working in schools? What do you think is the good stuff?
Working in schools.
Like what's works? What's good about school? Like what are the good things?
The good things about school, I enjoy school learning when the teachers make it enjoyable, if that makes sense. Like I enjoy learning regardless, but it really just depends. Like depending on the teacher, that'll really make me enjoy school, or just getting to see my friends. That it makes me enjoy school and just creating those memories with them, and that really what makes me enjoy school the most.
Your friends are important. They really are.
Yes.
Um, how do you handle setbacks and tough days?
Well, setbacks and tough days are really hard for me because I get irritated quick and I kind of get mad really quickly, but I try to handle that on my own. So when I get setbacks and tough days, I try to just kind of like forget about it and not really stress about it because if I keep it on my mind, it's not going to leave me alone. So I try to forget about it or do something to clear my mind.
So go to the movies with your friend.
Yes, ma'am. Or like watch Netflix or
Watch
listen to music.
Netflix.
Yes, ma'am. Listen to music really helps me cope.
That's cool. That's cool.
Does your school offer any kind of like conflict and resolution classes for the students?
I'm not
Like,
sure about any I'm not sure about any conflict and resolution classes, but I know we offer like debate.
Yeah, I love debate,
Yes, ma'am. Debate classes.
but nothing like how to resolve conflict without violence verbally and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of that, huh?
No, ma'am.
You know those classes you were talking about, those extracurricular classes. How do kids find out about those classes? Is that well known throughout the school, or are certain kids targeted? Like they make good grades, then they let them know, or does all the kids really have access to that information?
No, ma'am. This is established actually in middle school. So, like in eighth grade, they make us like choose our schedule or our pathway for high school. And that pathway is what you'll follow throughout your high school years. So, if you start the welding pathway and you start it from your freshman year to your senior year, you'll graduate with like a welding certificate, and you can go like work somewhere for welding and make part-time money.
Because I'm trying to figure out why aren't more Black and Hispanic kids in those
Taking advantage of those classes.
taking advantage of those.
Yes, ma'am. Like I said, it's a lot of Hispanic kids in these classes. I just don't see many African American kids.
And I wonder why.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure. A lot of the
Okay.
African American kids, like mainly, like I said, are in sports and things like that. And we also have basketball, football, soccer. We also have the what's it called? The nursing program. We have a nursing program. A lot of our black young girls are in that program.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Am I wrong, or did I hear that y'all have the program where you can get your associate degree by the time you graduate if you're in that program to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Or aren't you in that program, or you're not?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently in that program now, but I started late. I was
Uh-huh.
started the program late, so I'm trying to catch up with my classes now, but if I don't catch up, I can still finish and get my associate's degree quick after I graduate.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because
Yes.
some of those credits will move over, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
Well, that's good. So you are taking advantage. Are any other kids that look like you in that program? Oh,
Yes, ma'am. A couple of my friends actually, a couple of my friends are in that program, and then I would probably say it's like six of us that's in my class specifically.
mhm. And most of these kids will either graduate from high school and they'll have a high school diploma and an associate degree.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll
But
have one. If you don't catch up, then you will be quick to get your associate once you graduate.
yes, ma'am. But depending on whatever college you go to, like if
Oh,
you go to a big college or university, some of those universities don't take these credits because it's a junior college credit. So
okay.
depending on which college you go to, you might not even be able to do those credits, so you'll basically have to do it over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just depends on what college you go to.
So, do you think the colleges that you picked, the HBCUs and all of those, do you think most of them would accept your credit?
Yes, ma'am. And if not, I had a plan on after I graduate working with my little certificate for the teaching, and I can go work at a school and help teachers and aid and make money by doing that. And I can do college online at the same time with those credits because A&M Commerce accepts those credits.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Commerce does accept them. Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
So
Okay.
teaching is your first passion. Do you have a plan B, or do you have a second passion?
Yes, ma'am. Also real estate.
Okay.
Okay. You know, you can do them both.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. That was kind of my plan.
Yeah, you know, you can do them both.
Yeah, I was gonna do teaching and then real estate on the side.
that's good. That's good.
Are there any causes, issues, or things that you're passionate about? Like any causes or community issues, things like that.
Causes or community issues. I would probably say gun violence. The gun violence is getting really out of hand, and like I've seen it firsthand in my school. Kids bringing guns to school. That's why it is how it is now. Like coming into school, we have to go through a metal detector, and then we have to get our bags searched, and then we have to get wanded. It's a whole procedure just because students are bringing guns in school
Mhm.
and weapons and things like that.
Um,
Mhm.
That's what those conflict and resolution classes are basically for. When kids a lot of times find themselves in situations where they feel like they need to do that. Sometimes if you can talk it out prior, you can find a different alternative to
Mhm.
bringing a weapon to school or starting fights. So
Yes,
that's an
ma'am.
alternative to that.
do they have an alternative school? I worked in Terrell all this time, and I don't even know if they have an alternative school in Terrell.
Yes, ma'am. We have an alternative school, and it's also like a different alternative school that allows you to graduate early. It's basically like all of your classes are online, and you can complete that as quick as you can. So if a student completes all their classes in 2 weeks, then they're done with high school. They just have to walk across the stage.
With them. Okay.
Mm,
Well, at
that's
least they're
good.
not kicking them out where they're having another option other than a GED, which a GED is fine for me. I'd rather a kid get a GED than don't get anything at all.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
And because if they do have make a change, they'd have a place to start from. That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes sense. Okay. Um, gun violence or guns is something. Why do you think that in the United States they haven't made much impact on gun violence?
I'm actually not sure why that hasn't been a priority.
Well, that's not their priority.
No, I feel like it hasn't really been a priority, but I feel like it should be one.
I agree. I
Definitely.
agree. I agree.
Mhm. Definitely. Hmm.
I have lots of reasons why I think it's probably not a priority. Mainly when things tend not to be a priority is because uh, it's a lot of money involved somewhere, somehow.
Hmm.
Um, and people losing money, they have to prioritize what's most important. And
Hmm.
um, so that would be one of your things. Do you have any other causes that you think is important, even if you don't take them on?
Yes, I would say the school districts. There's a lot going on with schools now, and there's been new laws that's been dropped with schools, and the school getting dropped from funding from the state and things like that. And I think that's really a problem now, especially with me finna go to college now, and fast food and things like that are getting threatening. It's really hard, and it's really open. It's really eye opening.
It is. It's very eye opening. You know, the curriculums, a lot of funding is being threatened to be removed because if you teach things like critical race theory, which is teaching about real truth, um, history, people are losing funding for teaching that. I don't know if you know, but I will tell you that just recently in the African American Museum in Washington, that anything that relates to any kind of Black history, particularly around Jim Crow and uh, Civil War, uh, um, slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, a lot of that stuff has been taken out of the African American Museum. I don't know what's left
Hmm.
because that's a lot of the history of the United States, and so I have no idea what's been taken
Hmm.
uh, away. And with the DEI uh,
Oh, my screen's frozen.
being removed, a lot of things in the college realm, if these things are taught or considered, they are losing funding, which is
Hmm.
extremely serious. Extremely serious.
Definitely is.
Very.
Mm.
Do you think that it's important that young people like you uh, begin to really understand how politics and things like that are affecting these things, schools, guns, education?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's very important to be acknowledged on this at a young age. So when you grow older, you can already know what to expect and what you're getting into because it's important to be involved in things like that.
Where do you find most of your like world news and politics information from? Is it social media, or do you some people still get newspapers? Do you get a newspaper, or where do you find your world news from?
Being completely honest, I get most of my world news from TikTok.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I bet a lot of people. That's up in the millions.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's up in the millions. So you've seen a lot of these things on there from postings that other people made. Uh, you know, have you noticed that at one point there were like kind of more memes and more postings that told jokes, but lately it seems to be more serious memes. I mean, more serious posts uh, about more serious issues. Have you noticed that?
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that. I noticed that. Used to be like a lot of jokes, but I don't see as many jokes as I do serious stuff.
Yes, ma'am. I see a lot of serious stuff. A lot of people saying, open their eyes. A lot of people saying a lot of things are going on in the world and different things like that. I see a lot of TikToks. Every day I open TikTok, I see people saying leave America and things like that. So it's really crazy.
It
It's like
is.
a lot. Yeah, it's like mainly social media is like sending warnings.
Hmm. That's true. And you have to be able to verify because some things are good, some things is garbage, and
Mhm.
being able. But I think in this year, when I was growing up, you had to look at the news or read a newspaper, right? But
Mhm.
that's not how we get our news really
Mhm.
anymore. I don't see a lot of people sitting in front of TV watching the Channel 8 news,
Yeah.
and a lot of people get things. That's why podcasts are so important, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
anything, even if it was on a news station, it should be verified to make sure that
It's that.
you're getting accurate information and it's factual.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you think?
Is this camera cutting out?
No, I see your pretty face.
I'm sorry, my service keeps going out.
Okay. Can you hear me now? We lost her. Hopefully she'll be
Um,
right back.
yeah.
She is amazing.
She is such a delight. I just continue prayer for her motivation, enthusiasm, and being a teacher because I definitely I've never been a teacher, but I know that's a hard field. And so
Yeah,
I wish her nothing but success in that.
I'm
I
sorry,
know.
I think my service had cut off.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We see. We were just talking about how you're such a delight. Um, I had a couple of we had a couple of political questions for you, somewhat current event if you want. Um, do you think young people your age are paying attention to politics, and why or why not?
Yes, ma'am, most definitely. And I say yes because I've seen it with my own eyes. Like a lot of kids in my class, we actually have discussion on politics. And like we know we're not supposed to, but we actually have discussion on politics. Yeah, we have discussion on politics. It's young kids about it all on social media. Politics is getting spreaded and talked about a lot for
And
this
even
generation.
oh, okay. Well, that's enlightening.
Hmm.
That's enlightening.
Yes.
That's cool. And how much do you think your environment plays in the way you look at politics? Like your environment, I'm talking about your home, your friends, the values that you was raised with, all of those things. How much do you think they play in the way you see politics?
I think that plays a lot in how I see politics. I say that because I say politics has a lot to do with what other people think and their mindset. So depending on like the different political things and different parties that people choose, I feel like that plays with a lot with how that person was raised and how they go about their life.
Do you think that it's important?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's very important to know about politics.
I think so too. It it has so much to do with a lot of things. I know a lot of people say I don't do politics, and I often think, well, you should, because when you went in the store and bought that butter, that was politics. When you got in your car and put gas, that was politics. I don't know how you don't do politics. It's almost like a lot of the resources and things we get is because of a political realm, and not understanding that, is almost like putting blinders on.
Hmm.
Right. I kind of I'm gonna go back to like when we were younger. I don't know, Tam, if you used to hear this, but I used to always hear, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. You have a lifetime. You don't worry yourself with that." But this is a new day and age, and you really do as a young person. Everybody deserves to have their fun. You're young, but your mindset has to be different nowadays
Hmm.
because you have to be up on your politics and where you're going, and you definitely are because like you think about them talking about taking social security away, or there's no going to be any social security by the time you're at that age of retirement. that just, to me, it tells you you have to move different. Even as a teenager, you have to move
Mhm.
different, you have to think different, you have to do things different, so that you can in some kind of way prepare yourself for that for what's to come, if you can say that. And you're definitely doing that. So I'm just, my hat's off for you, the way that you move, the way that your academics and everything that you're doing. You're definitely on the right track. You're definitely.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, most certainly. And it's so important because without paying attention, you wouldn't have realized that something changed with physics, something changed with the curriculum, and how I have to maneuver my way through it and come out on top and come out learning something. Not
Mhm.
just learning how to manage it, but to exceed it,
Right.
whatever barriers that you uh, come across. But if you aren't aware, then you won't even see the change when it's happening right in front of your face.
Right.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it is extremely, and I don't know if kids really, I don't think any of us really have the luxury of not paying attention. I
Hmm.
think that by paying attention, we empower ourselves to be stronger, to be wiser, to be aware, and we really can tap into our superpower if we choose to keep our eyes and ears open to changes that go on around us. Uh, with the thing about erasing Black history has made people what? It made them want to learn more about Black history. It
Right.
had the opposite effect, and so. But if you don't notice and if you don't pay attention that the stuff around you is changing, then you won't change and you'll wake up later and find out how much you truly lost.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Now, my favorite question, I might just ask you a couple more of these, but my favorite question, what do you think older generations don't always understand about what it's like to grow up in today's political climate? What is it that we don't often get, or that you
Um,
think we need to understand?
I would say that the older generation doesn't understand that it is not the same at all. Nothing's the same. The economy is definitely different. Inflation is crazy. Everything is expensive. Everything is like more crazy now. And I think the older generation just doesn't really understand that as much. Like a lot of the older generation will see young kids as lazy for not having a job or lazy for this. But some of them don't understand that it's harder to find jobs now because of so many young people who are trying to get jobs. Like it was so hard. It was hard for me to find my jobs. And I think the older generation just doesn't realize that it's not really that time period no more. Like we're kind of on a different era.
We used to
Hmm.
call it suspended in time. You know that we used to call it we were suspended in time. Um, I, to some degree, I think I actually agree with you to some degree. Um, my career,
That.
I'm 62 years old.
Hmm.
I'm a senior citizen. But one of the things I've always been afraid of was to be an antiquated. I wasn't ever afraid of being older. I was always afraid of being antiquated and stuck in my ways. And so even in my job, I've always hired young people because I wanted to be around them so they would keep me fresh and not stuck in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. But the other side of that coin is there's some valuable things about historical things. And do you think that there is a place for older and younger to be able to collaborate with both of their strengths?
Yes, ma'am. I think that is, yes, definitely.
I do too. I do too. And I think it takes a little bit of bending on both sides
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's a lot more people in the world today than it was in the 60s and the 70s even. And so the job market and getting a job probably is exactly what you said. It's probably a lot harder than what we imagined back from when I was growing up because I just walked in Safeway and they hired me. And I was 15, 16 or whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't know if that's my son just filled an application out. He had to answer 100 questions.
Yes, 100 questions.
Yep.
You know, and I'm learning something with saying that because I didn't necessarily see the job market as being difficult. I did on the higher end, on with the degree, and they still looking for things like that. But I didn't expect that from this end of the spectrum. I didn't figure it to be harder.
Yes,
Before I
ma'am.
did this podcast, before we started the podcast today, I just sat down and listened to my son process 100 questions that we've been working on since for 2 hours, and just
Yeah.
process. And they were all processing questions, but it was 100 of them,
Mhm.
and you know, I didn't answer 100 questions when I was a teenager on any job. As a matter of fact, I've never answered 100 questions on any job I've ever applied for in my life.
That's how a lot of them are now.
Hmm.
So the competition is pretty steep. You're saying?
Oh yes, and it's very hard for people to find first jobs as well, because a lot of employers are only hiring people who already have work experience and things like that, and are very picky with who they choose.
Mhm. So it's not necessarily that they're lazy. You think they get discouraged?
Oh no, ma'am, I'm not saying that some of them aren't lazy, because that
Oh,
is
not
a
some of them are, but the ones that aren't lazy, do you think they're just discouraged because it's so hard and people keep turning them down? Or
yes, ma'am. I think it can be very discouraging because I have friends who's just like, I'm not looking no more. Like, I'm tired. I've already searched 5 places. I've put in 5 different applications. No one's hiring me. Like, it's very hard. And I think that is a problem that they're discouraged.
I wonder if what we could do as a community to make an impact on that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we have job fairs and career days at schools. Like, we have one actually on Wednesday,
Hmm.
and they actually it's mandatory for juniors and seniors to go get those job and opportunities, so they do offer opportunities at the school and as a community.
Okay. So that's good. That's good. Is there anything else? I mean, that was enlightening. Is there anything else that you think is that we really should start to think about when we're dealing with younger people or consider?
um with younger people, with the younger generation, I would really say just more patience.
Mm.
Because the younger generation, like, I'm not saying it wasn't hard for all generations, but it's a lot. It's very hard, and going through all these changes, especially with all the changes that's going in the world today, it's very difficult growing up in a time like that. And a lot of us grew up and we were in middle school when COVID hit, and we were isolated in our rooms for like a year and stuff like that, so it could be hard, and a lot of our minds are probably still mentally messed up from that.
That's excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, I can just talk to you for on and on. I know that you have really been a blessing to us and to our guests tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to keep on watching and giving updates. And you're going to come back when you graduate or something, like, as you make these pivots, we want you to come and let us know where you are, and that they don't get it secondhand from me, because they will be hearing about you, and but getting it directly from you. You truly make me proud, make us proud. You are an example of how of the greatness from our race of people, and how it doesn't stop with anyone. We just keep producing these remarkable individuals with these remarkable superpowers, and it's just in our culture.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm proud to be part of the same culture that you are. And I want to encourage you and let you know that Robin and I will always be here for you. And you can always ask us anything, anytime, ever.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to thank both of you guys also for recognizing me and taking the time to ask me those questions and acknowledge how I feel.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's worthy. Every young person deserves to be heard. And I think that's the only way that we're going to make any progress in this world is to start listening to one another.
Mhm.
And I hope that I'm happy you're the first, and I hope that you do not be the last young person that we can share and have a conversation with. Robin, you have anything for her?
I just want to say I am totally invested. I will be asking Tammy or asking your mom when she's here what is our girl doing, and what peaks have she climbed this week? Because I see nothing but success in your future, and I just continue blessings with that, and just stay motivated, stay focused. I love your everything about what you're doing and the way you're doing it.
Thank
And
you so
hats
much.
off to your mom.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
compliment her all the time. I jab at her constantly. But I will tell you that I think she's one of the most remarkable mothers I've ever seen. I think that she is outstanding. I think your parents have done an outstanding job with you and your brother. And I'm just glad to have known y'all. It has enriched my life.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
Hats
so
off
much,
to great
Ron.
parents.
And hats off to you. We
I
adore you.
talk to you as well. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Mwah, mwah.
Bye.
Bye
See you next
bye.
time.
Oh my God, that was great. That was great. I totally loved her. I just wish that I hope that what she shared is spread amongst other youth that see our video and encourage them, because she is a great she's already a great success story. So, and I don't see anything but more greatness in her.
She's a remarkable young lady. And you know what the thing is? She is not the only one.
Hmm.
She is not an anomaly or enigma or something that you can't figure out. There are brilliant kids walking around this earth, and we just don't get to hear about them often or get to have these kind of conversations with them. And I don't know how we move forward without them, you know.
Hmm.
And but it's important, I think, that we start to listen to one another, the older and the younger, because what we say matters and what we feel
Hmm.
matters. And I think that would she surprised me with how much she talked about politics.
Hmm.
I did not see that coming.
Hmm.
And I've
I
watched
think
this child since
we're
she was
definitely
7.
in a time where politics affects everyone, and we have to be diligent and aware
Yeah,
at a
yeah.
young age. Unfortunately, at a young age.
And it might be good, but I mean, if you start thinking about politics at these ages, I mean, you will really start to understand systems and
Hmm.
dynamics at a very young age. And that is something that you'll definitely need as you move on into your adult life, to be able to have some grasp of systems that it doesn't just knock you off your foundation because you're so unaware. By
Right.
being more aware, you're more empowered, you
And
know?
just like you mentioned, politics everywhere. The gas, the food you buy. She talked about the financial aid, the different
Mm.
curriculums at school. So it's everywhere. It's affecting everyone in some kind of way. In some kind of
And
way.
it amazes me when people say, "Well, I don't do politics." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Your child might not get their grant, or their per diem for school, or their funding. Why would we want to be that blind? Arguing about politics and understanding political things that affect our lives is two different things. Arguing with somebody over politics is different than
Mhm.
understanding the system that we live in and the umbrella that's over all of our heads, guiding what we can, what Social Security is, what your Medicaid is, what you're going to get, what pay is in this country, all the way down to what minimum wage is. I mean, all of these things are political. So when people say, I don't do politics, I don't know what they're talking about. It is
Hmm.
a difference between that and I don't argue about politics. That
Right.
makes, I mean, I understand that. And maybe that's what's meant. but often it's that I don't pay attention to anything that's going on around me, uh, to the influences that's going on around and impacting my life on a day-to-day basis. And so
Mm,
to see that from a young person is extremely refreshing.
it definitely is. It
And
definitely
I,
is.
I hope we have more young people too. Hey, Robin, it's your time.
Okay. I am so happy that for everyone that joined us this evening, thank you, Rhonda, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your views with us. You are absolute delight. I hope that what light you are shining, it continues to shine. I hope that all your desires and your dreams are obtained. I can't speak enough about you. I am so super excited for what is to come for you. Like I said, I am totally invested in where you're going and what you're doing. And thank you once again for joining us. There are a lot of kids out there. Sometimes it takes a little longer to find their path, but just because it takes them a little longer doesn't mean that they're lost. If you can do what you reach out to someone who's struggling, a youth. Maybe you have what it takes to get them on the right track. Never give up because tomorrow is another day and another chance to make a better decision. Thank you for joining us this week and continue to have a wonderful week. Good evening.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is my grandson took the time out, and he's only 9, and he took the time out to come on and listen to Aranda. Hello, Cohen. Granny loves you, and I'm so happy that you're on here. We call him our little young future computer engineer. Um, I love you, Cohen, and listen to what she said. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like, um, like Robin, I would encourage every one of us to really take to heart what we heard tonight, and if we can have an influence on a young person, um, that is an act of activism. If we can have make an impact on a young person, and I know that we've lived and we've seen and we've known, but she brought out something that I thought was very important, and it was the last question: what do we need to know and understand? And if we could consider even some of what she said when we're talking to young people, and not make as many assumptions, um, I think it would even make us understand better and give us the tools we need to try to help them and gear them, and then empower them to gear and help themselves. Uh, I thank you so much for joining. Want to remind you Wednesday about Fire Unfinished. The book is packed with our history, with Black history, with history of the country. Uh, Everything that I write it incorporates uh, historical things, and now in a time when our history is basically there is a push to erase it. I think that this is a good opportunity. Um, there's a little cursing, but there's no, you know, a bunch of sex or nothing like that. So if you want your young person to just join, that would be great because I often talk. I mean, the books, the visuals have a lot to do in merging historical facts with drama or with fictional things, but actually molding pieces and parts of our history as in the novels. So I definitely encourage everyone to keep joining us. It's also fun to see the characters and watch them evolve. Thank you so much. And everyone have a very, very nice evening. We will continue to try to bring really uh, thought provoking guests to you. We will see you in 2 weeks on Hidden Voices podcast. And we will see you next week, weekly for the book narration. So the podcast has moved to every 2 weeks because we're going to work really hard to get guests for you to hear. And then the book the book narrations or the book visuals will be every Wednesday. You have a good evening and be safe.
Bye. Good night.
Let's listen to my mama.
Get ready to ride this train. You better come on, ride, ride on. People get ready for the ride to Jordan. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. I said, now faith is the key that'll take you over. You don't. No, no, no. You just thank the Lord.